Heather didn't know how much longer Patrick was going to act like a child. He was always like that, though. If she remembered their relationship, she just hadn't noticed it. She'd been stupefied by love. In college, Patrick was responsible and friendly. But when he faced financial problems, his attitude towards Heather changed dramatically. The girl guessed that it was because Patrick loved money more than her. It wasn't until years later that Heather realized there was no love in their relationship. Patrick just liked the feeling of dominance over someone less fortunate. The end of their relationship was Heather's career advancement at Nino Moner. You've already made your choice. Why try to take it all back? Remember what you said to me then? I'll remind you. You said you and I had different paths. Why are you now reneging on your words? Heather asked into the phone. Don't you realize I only needed this marriage to get back on my feet? I've done nothing wrong. I'd like to point out that it's your fault we broke up too. If you hadn't been an orphan, things would have worked out differently for us. Patrick replied to the girl. I don't understand. Are you trying to make me guilty now? Heather wondered. Well, who's to blame for that? Questioned Patrick. Suddenly, a man's hand took the phone from Patrick's hands. Heather, I'm hanging up. I'll take it from here, Wyston said and hung up. Now listen to me. You don't seem to realize what you're doing. At the moment, you're stalking a girl and threatening her. Do you think that's an appropriate thing to do? Asked Wystan to Patrick. Wystan handed Patrick his cell phone. Has anyone ever told you that eavesdropping on other people's conversations is unseemly? By the way, are you dating her yet? Patrick shoved his cell phone into the breast pocket of his jacket. In order to take care of an employee, you have to enter into a relationship with her? Wystan inquired. It's just that I got the impression that you value your employee too much. Anyway, I should stop talking to you. You've already gotten me so far. By the way, CEO, what do you know about your employee? Patrick asked. Do you know that she is an orphan without a single relative? And what's the big deal? I'm an orphan, too, and everyone knows it. Years ago, all the newspapers were full of the news that my parents died in an airplane crash, replied Wystan to him. What happened to her and what happened to you are completely different situations. You still have your grandfather, and he's the reason you have everything. Heather has no one. Have you never thought about her status, her financial situation? Patrick contradicted him. Heather is capable, intelligent, but has nothing else to offer, so you shouldn't consider marrying her. I hope you understand the point I'm trying to make. How naive you are, after all. Do you really think my grandfather is helping my company in any way? Why don't you allow the idea that he doesn't enjoy doing it? Wystan asked with a cheerful chuckle. I see you still don't understand what I want to convey to you. Even though your grandfather is not involved in your company, you will still inherit his wealth. Heather has absolutely nothing. There's a big money gap between you two, Patrick exclaimed. Stop! Let's end it there. I hate to hear an insult directed at my employee. I strongly suggest you forget about her. Wystan turned around to leave. It was incomprehensible to him how Heather could fall for such a man. Director General, you're the one prying where you shouldn't. Why are you even interfering in our conversation? If you're still dating Heather, then stop it. That girl is no good for you, shouted Patrick, jumping up from his seat. Wystan answered nothing. He was uncomfortable talking to this man. He barely restrained himself from hitting him. Wystan's cell phone played in his hands. It was Heather. Wystan was surprised, because this girl had never called him before. Director General, where are you now? Stay where you are. I'll be with you shortly. Heather shouted into the phone. Heather found Wystan at a nearby mall. Director General, what happened between you and Patrick? Why did you meet him here? Heather asked excitedly. To put it bluntly, I didn't even think you'd be worried about me. But you don't have to be. I'm fine. I'm here for work, not to fight with your exes. I met Patrick by accident, replied Wystan to the girl. I'm sorry to involve you in my business. Actually, I wasn't too worried. You're the CEO, Heather said with a smile. The girl was extremely uncomfortable with the whole situation. Wystan liked the girl's sweet smile. When she smiled, she looked extremely innocent and carefree. As there was still a lot of time left before the end of the working day, Wyston offered Heather a cup of coffee. There's nothing wrong with me having a cup of coffee with her. I'm just rewarding an employee for a job well done. Wyston talked himself into it. Director General, there's something I need to tell you. It's about your handkerchief. I accidentally spilled coffee on it. It's not in the best condition now. Do you mind if I buy you a new one? Asked the girl. For a long time, Wyston couldn't remember which handkerchief he was talking about. Usually, when he gave his handkerchief to someone, he didn't expect to get it back. It's too bad the handkerchief is ruined. It was my favorite. I received it from someone close to me. Roughly speaking, this handkerchief was dear to me as a memory. Wyston portrayed a frustrated look on his face. Oh, forgive me. Maybe I can find the exact same one somewhere. Do you happen to remember what brand it was? Heather exclaimed fearfully. How can I put it to you? I don't think a new handkerchief will replace that one. That handkerchief was a rarity. You won't find it anywhere else. Wyston continued to crack up. So what am I supposed to do now? How do I gloss over your guilt? Heather bowed her head dejectedly. Well, if you're really sorry, let's pick me up a new shawl together. I'll pick you up Saturday by 1 o'clock. Leaning toward the girl, said Wyston. I get it. You're messing with me again. Of course you lied to me about the rarity of the scarf and about a loved one, Heather said with a sidelong glance. Huh, this is so embarrassing. I've been declassified, Wyston said with a laugh. How can you joke like that? I almost turned gray after you said that, Heather exclaimed and grabbed her head. Listen to me carefully. You're a very interesting man. As mean-spirited as your joke was, you still managed to lift my spirits. So I don't mind Saturday's trip, said Heather, looking into Wyston's eyes. I want to point out that when I'm around you, amazing things happen in my life. At the end of the workday, Wyston offered Heather a ride home, but she declined. Heather grabbed the handle of the company's main entrance door, but Wyston wouldn't let her open the door. Wait a few minutes. Don't go. I tried to say it before, but I couldn't. I want to confess to you that I can't stop thinking about you, and there's nothing I can do about it, Wyston said in a quiet voice. It was obvious that he was having a hard time with this conversation. I want to meet you on Saturday not because of the scarf or work, but just for the sake of socializing and spending time together. I want to spend time with you not as your boss, as an ordinary man. Heather froze in surprise. She had absolutely no idea how to react to her boss's words. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? Or should I say it again? I want to meet you not as a boss, but as a man, Wyston repeated syllabically. Heather fearfully covered the CEO's mouth with her hands. That's enough. Come with me. We need to discuss this where no one can hear us, the girl exclaimed and pulled the chief behind her. The girl led Wyston to the landing. She put her hands against the walls, not giving him a chance to leave. What did you just say to me? This is another joke, isn't it? If it is, it's not funny, Heather exclaimed. You're not telling the truth. You're mocking me again. How could you like me? The girl asked, surprised. It's a complicated question, but if you want, I can list it all. I don't think you fully realize how incredible your work is. And the amazing thing is that even though it's difficult, you don't stop working, replied Wyston. Did I scare you with my confession? Of course that confession sounds like a threat. In my head, I hear it as, go on a date with me or I'll fire you, Heather confessed. I know how you feel right now, but I swear to you that whatever your answer is, it won't affect your work in any way, Wyston promised the girl. Then I'll answer you honestly. I've never considered a relationship with you. I don't want to step on the same rake twice, Heather admitted. To be honest, I expected you to answer like that. But if you've never thought about a relationship with me, why don't you think about it now? My feelings for you aren't going to change. I like you, and I can't change that. Maybe we should get closer. Did you notice the connection we made the first day we met? I could forget that night. But you, specifically, I can't, whispered Wyston in the girl's ear. Heather elbowed Wyston in the stomach. With a heavy groan, the man folded in half. Director General, could you please watch your language? In a frightened voice, the girl asked. She really hoped that no one had heard the Director General's last words. Suddenly, Wistan grabbed the girl and pulled her tightly against him. "I'm going to go. I have to go. And you be careful on your way home," said Wistan, pulling the girl away from him. "By the way, those shoes really suit you. I didn't even think you'd wear them to work. And don't forget, you and I have a date at 1 o'clock on Saturday." Heather was working on a new model of boots. She couldn't decide whether it was better to use suede or regular leather. "You're doing well. I think you should add some gold. For example, small, shiny items would go perfectly with the heels." Heather heard a male voice in her head. For a moment, she thought the CEO was standing behind her. "Why are you looking at me like that? Is something wrong?" A nearby passing Brendan asked Heather in a surprised voice. The girl assured the employee that everything was fine and hurried back to her work. "It's kind of crazy. All I do is think about the CEO. It's making me unable to concentrate on work. It's been 4 days since he confessed his feelings to me, but in all that time he hasn't texted once." Heather thought, looking at her phone. "I think that if he wrote to me every day, I would be less worried. But now I don't know if he's telling the truth or if he's playing a joke on me again. I need to forget about him for a while, because it's silence and peace that helps me work." After work, Violetta suggested that her employees go to a nearby restaurant. It had been a long time since they had socialized outside of work. They needed to relax a little. "Deputy, I think we've had enough food. I'd recommend not getting too drunk a lot since we have work tomorrow, and I suggest we don't pour any more for Heather. She's already had enough," said Bradley. "What do you mean enough?" "Not enough. I just started drinking." In a drunken voice, Heather muttered. The girl had finally found a way to forget about the CEO for a while. "Have you guys heard about the leaker? I was at the center today for work, and I personally heard from the plant manager that the person responsible for the Nino Moner leak is now working for us," Amelia exclaimed. Heather shuddered with fright. It seemed to her that she had sobered up in a moment. "Of course, I don't consider it a big problem. We have a lot of people working for us at the moment, so perhaps it's just gossip. Why take such an unreliable person into our company?" Amelia continued. "And I believe that we need to check people who come to us with special care. After all, any rumor can damage the company's reputation. And what if it's not gossip at all and such a person is among us?" Violetta said thoughtfully, turning the meat on the grill. Heather didn't want to go home. She kept thinking about the conversation of the employees in the restaurant. What if they found out that she was the one who was considered a leaker at Nino Moner Company? It's all unfair. And the most unfair thing is that I can't do anything about it. At times like this, you wish you had someone around who would always take your side. Heather thought to herself. The girl took out her phone from her purse and texted Wistan. She really hoped he would take her side and help her. It had been half an hour, but Wistan was still gone. The girl decided that he simply ignored her message because he thought she was drunk. Heather got up from the swing and headed toward her house. "Heather, where do you think you're going?" asked the girl as Wistan approached. "He came after all," the girl rejoiced. "As soon as I got a message from you, I immediately dropped everything and headed here. I've been extremely busy all these 4 days, so I couldn't pay attention to you. And now I've noticed you've been drinking alone, without me," said Wistan to the girl. "What's wrong with your face? Are you upset about something?" Wistan gingerly touched the girl's face. "Overall, nothing bad happened. It's just that an extremely unpleasant event happened today for me. I felt like I was going to die of shame. I guess when you got the message, you thought I was drunk," said the girl, taking a seat on the swing again. "What made you decide that? I've been waiting for your call. I'm glad I had the chance to come to you and comfort you. I can finally hold you in my arms and show you that I'm there for you," Wistan admitted. "You know that throughout today, all I've been thinking about is you." "I can't stop thinking about you either," Heather exclaimed. "Would you get really mad if I kissed you?" asked Wistan to the girl. Heather lightly, jokingly punched Wistan in the stomach with her fist. "Oh well, now for the trauma you've suffered, you should definitely kiss me," Wistan said with a slight smile on his face. "Okay, I'm not going to mess with you. It's getting cold. Come on, I'll walk you home." Wyston rose to his feet and held out his hand to the girl. Wyston and Heather rode in the car in silence. The man guessed why the girl was so upset today. There was a rumor in the company that a man who was previously fired from Nino Moner for leaking data had been hired. I don't understand them at all. Why don't they say anything if it's such a big incident? Usually people are quartered for such a misdemeanor. Ian exclaimed in surprise. Did you find out anything about it? Vistan asked. At first glance, it seems as if Heather is to blame for the leak. However, rumors are divided. Some say she was framed. Others say she leaked the information on purpose. As for me, I'm on the side of the former. Somehow this is all suspicious. Why did the rumor spread around the company so quickly and unexpectedly? Who told about it? Why did everyone keep quiet for 3 years, and suddenly they're talking again? Someone is deliberately spreading these false rumors. Wystan thought to himself. When Wystan pulled up to Heather's house, the girl was already asleep. Hey, what are you doing? Did you fall asleep? It's hard to believe you could fall asleep so easily next to a man in his own car. Wystan gently poked a finger into the girl's cheek. CEO, if you do that again, I will go to the police, Heather warned. I'm sorry to make you drive somewhere at night. You have enough to do without me. The girl opened the car door, intending to get out. Thank you for the opportunity to see you. I want you to delineate our relationship. At work, I'm the boss, and you're the subordinate. But that role is only at work. At other times, however, even if you call me early in the morning, I'll immediately rush over to you. But don't think anything extra. No matter how much I love you, the job will remain a job, a place without unnecessary emotions. I'm willing to swear to you that I won't hurt you. Even if my feelings suddenly fail, I won't spread rumors to belittle you or drive you out of the company. But I've already told you my point of view on the matter. My attitude toward you will never change. I'm not sure we should date or develop romantic feelings in any way, Heather admitted. Don't make hasty decisions or jump to conclusions, for human feelings are a scary and unpredictable thing, Wystan said with a smile. CEO, no offense, but sometimes you act like a fool, said Heather and got out of the car. Waking up in the morning, Heather suddenly realized the mistake she had made the previous evening. She shouldn't have written a message to the CEO. How should she deal with him now? Damn, I totally forgot it's Saturday. I have a date with the CEO today. I have to get out of this meeting somehow, Heather thought to herself. Suddenly the phone next to her played. It was a message. In the message, Wystan wrote that he would arrive at the girl's house at 1 o'clock sharp. Heather realized she wouldn't have time to come up with a truthful excuse. She'd have to go. Wystan was surprised that the girl came to the date wearing sunglasses. Can't you at least take pictures of them indoors? I just don't think the weather is the best for them. Oh, and what are the chances of your acquaintances noticing you here? Asked Wystan to the girl. CEO don't think our city is huge. You could say it's just a big village. And I'd like to point out that we've been to dozens of stores, but we haven't been able to find a scarf you'd like. What didn't you like about the one we just watched? Is there a particular reason? Maybe you didn't like the pattern or the material, the girl asked. Let's move on. I'm sure we can pick up a shawl for me at the next store. Wystan took the girl's hand and led her into the store. Wystan didn't let Heather down. They did find a handkerchief in this store, exactly like the one he had before. The clerk at the store said they were in great demand. But my shawl was really rare. They don't make them like that anymore. It had a special weave of thread. Don't you believe me? Wystan asked the girl. He saw that Heather was offended with him. There were dozens of those scarves in that store. You could have stocked up for years to come. Why do you keep deceiving me? Heather asked in an annoyed voice. Quickly hide. Behind you is your team leader. Wystan exclaimed and hid under the table almost completely. Turning around, Heather spotted Ian Dogone in the company of some girl. What if he spots us now? Heather asked fearfully. To prevent that from happening, pretend to be a mouse and freeze. Otherwise, we have only 2 options. The first is to go up to the group leader and say hello to him. The second is to get out of here somewhere else and have dinner. whispered Wistan. We can have dinner and then go to a movie afterwards. I have a great drive-in movie theater in mind. No one will see us there. Did it take you long to build this plan? Heather asked, surprised. Looking at the happy face of her boss, she realized that he had been planning it for quite a long time. I'm actually suggesting we spend this weekend together. It'll just be you, me, and good cheer. Weiston covered Heather's hand with his own. I wonder who the group leader was meeting with, Heather asked as they got into the car. I think he just brought a pretty girl to the restaurant. Why not? He's lonely. He should find a date, replied Wistan. Is he really lonely? I was sure he had someone. He's handsome and kind and extremely capable when it comes to work, Heather said thoughtfully. I never realized you liked your group leader better than me. After all, I'm very handsome too. My manners are top-notch, and my abilities are beyond anyone's, Wistan said in an offended voice. Sorry for the delay. Something came up. I hope you didn't wait long for me. How did you like the movie? Weiston handed Heather a cup of coffee. It's been a long time since I've been so drawn to a movie. When I started working, I was busy all the time, so I didn't watch anything. The girl confessed and gratefully accepted a cup of coffee. I noticed you were looking intently at the main character's shoes, so decided to give you a little gift. Wistan held out a small package to the girl. Heather was surprised, for she hadn't expected the CEO to not only notice her interest, but to decide to give her a gift. When Heather opened the gift box, inside she saw shoes from the latest collection of a rather famous brand. The same shoes the main character was wearing. And when did you have time to buy those shoes? Heather marveled. I saw you drilling your gaze on the heroine's feet, and I remembered that I'd seen similar shoes in a store a couple days ago. I noticed them when I was looking through the windows for ideas for new collections. Vistan explained. I wrote to the store, ordered them, and went to get them while the movie was going on. Director, have we heard the saying, buy a man a shoe and he'll run right out in it? Heather asked. To be honest, this is the first time I've heard her, but you don't know me well. I don't let people I like get away from me. Yes, I was, am, and will be selfish. When I was a kid, I always signed my things so they belonged to me alone. Whatever I like and whoever I like is mine. Wiston gently tucked the girl's hair behind her ear. I don't envy the man who would want to take anything away from you. Heather gently pulled Wiston's hand away from her face. Heather pulled new shoes out of the shoebox and changed into them. I didn't think she'd try them on right away. Even though in crowded places she puts up a wall between us, alone with no one else, she's shortening the distance between us all by herself. Wiston thought to himself. If you close your eyes to the circumstances that bother you and look at me as an ordinary person, would you still say no to me? Wiston asked unexpectedly. Without waiting for an answer, Wiston leaned over the girl and kissed her on the lips. So, what's your answer going to be? Why do you want to hear the answer to that question right now? Why are you asking it so suddenly? Give me time to think about it, Heather asked. How am I supposed to ask you that question? Should I have said, warning? Now I'm going to ask a question that might stump you? Is that how you envision it? Weiston asked. Explain to me honestly what the problem is. If we start dating, nothing bad will happen. The country and the planet won't collapse. The thing is, I simply don't want to go out with you. I just can't control my feelings when I think about what would be, or what will be, or what will happen next. Mumbled a blushing Heather. Weiston furrowed his brow at the bridge of his nose. He couldn't understand what the girl was trying to tell him. I inferred from what you said that you like me. Is that correct? Vistan asked. There you go. You didn't finish listening to me again. I'm saying that I don't dislike you entirely, the girl exclaimed. Wait, so still like me a little? Weiston clarified. Why do you have to twist everything to suit you? You only hear what you like all the time. Heather blushed even more. She was afraid to look her boss in the eye. Wiston drew the girl to him and kissed her passionately on the lips. I should probably go. I have things to do. I need to get out of here right away. Heather mumbled to herself again. Don't you want to finish our conversation? Know that I'm not going to let up on you. I will revisit this issue again and again until you answer me honestly. Wiston warned. Tell me, what bothers you the most? What discourages you the most from having a relationship with me? I'm worried about my coworkers. I'm afraid they'll immediately think the wrong thing. I'll be labeled as the privileged girl, the CEO's favorite. The girl confessed. But you don't have to tell anyone about our relationship, do you? Wiston objected to her. And how long can you keep quiet? Heather asked with a hum. I'm willing to keep quiet for as long as it takes. I'll keep everything quiet so you'll be comfortable, Wiston promised. I realize, too, that it would be easier to give up and get behind you. Do you know how many times I've thought about it? Those thoughts will be in my head all the time, but I ignore them. So think about it again and give me a chance. I can't answer you right now anyway. Give me some time to think about it, Heather asked. And how much time do you need? I'm afraid that thinking about it too long might take a toll on you. Alone, you will begin to drive yourself into a hole, replied Wiston. I won't do that. I promise to focus all my thoughts on you to the exclusion of everything else, the girl promised. Okay, I'm just leaving for a week. I'm in no hurry, but I'd like to hear back when I get back. Why are you acting like a capricious child? Why are you putting restrictions on me? You see a beautiful toy and you demand it immediately, Heather shouted irritably. So, that's how you see me? A gentleman who is unaware of the world around him, who has always had enough of everything, who gets everything he wants. Do you think I'm hitting on you because I'm not used to losing? Wiston asked. Sorry, that's not what I meant to say, Heather replied, embarrassed. Huh, I understand you. It does seem that way. But I didn't get everything and not always, so I know exactly what it's like to need something, laughing, Wiston said. One time there was a bad story, and the damage I suffered was just enormous. Of course, that time wasn't the first time, but when something is already in your hands, it's hard to accept that it was taken from you. I kept bemoaning fate, its unfairness to me. That story was really unfair. And no matter how hard I tried to take back what was owed to me, I couldn't. All right, let's leave this unpleasant subject. Let me walk you home. It's a shame I won't be able to see you for a whole week. Thanks for today, for the movie, and for listening to me. I appreciate it. Lucky you. You're new to the job, and your shoes are already in the new collection. I wonder if we still have such talented newcomers in our company. Amelia asked Heather. The girl didn't say anything back to her employee, only smiled modestly. I'm sorry, that didn't sound very nice, but still, your progress is visible to everyone. The rest of us have a hard time with even one design a month, and you've already sketched out your next collection. What's your secret? Deputy Head Violetta asked. I don't have any secrets, really. I just draw on paper whatever pops into my head, Heather confessed. Amelia, I suggest you observe Heather's work, so I want to trust you to prepare the winter collection together, Violetta announced. Heather was pleased that her work had been noticed and praised. She couldn't stop thinking about it even when she was in the ladies' room. She couldn't stop thinking about it, even in the ladies' room. Heather, I want to ask you a question, said Violetta as she entered. With a loud shriek, Heather bounced to the side. I'm sorry I scared you. I didn't mean to do that, Violetta said in a calm voice. Do you remember what we talked about that time we sat as a team at the restaurant? Did you talk about it with anyone else? No, why? Heather asked fearfully. Then forget that conversation. The thing is, our general manager got really angry and said that no one should even talk about that incident anymore. Everyone who spread that gossip was reprimanded. I was also called on the carpet, and I want to say that the conversation was not a pleasant one. I'm sure the gossip about the leaker is a lie. I don't think the bosses would be angry if it was true. Anyway, I told everyone on our team about the conversation with the CEO, so we keep our mouths shut. We don't want to make management nervous. Don't you think the office has gotten a little too quiet these past few days? Maybe it's because the CEO is away? Violet asked Heather thoughtfully during her lunch break. I wonder if he's going to get married. He seems to be of the right age, and he needs to hurry up. There's little chance of anything happening. We must take care of the inheritance before anything happens." "What could happen?" Heather asked, surprised. She didn't understand why the deputy manager was so suddenly talking about their CEO getting married. "Don't you know anything? Then browse the internet. You can find a lot of interesting things there," Violetta advised. Heather stepped out into the stairwell and began searching for information on the CEO of their company. Heather found several articles on the internet that the parents of the heir to a large shoe company, Alient, had died in a plane crash. The rescue service did not rule out the possibility that the pilots of the downed plane had lost control. "This can't be happening. I need to apologize to him for calling him a cranky child. I'm such an idiot. I know how hard it is to live without parents myself," Heather muttered. The girl decided to stay late at work. She had a few more important things to do. Heather's mind was constantly spinning with thoughts of Wystan. She felt sorry for him because he had lost his parents when he was only 9 years old. Most surprisingly, Heather's parents also passed away when she was 9 years old. "Heather, wake up! Why are you sleeping in the workplace?" Through the dream, the girl heard. Jumping up, Heather spotted Ian Dogwan, the head of the design team, at the head of the design team. "Why are you popping up like that? You scared her away from me," exclaimed John. "I must have dozed off doing chores. Now I'll clean up and go home," the girl exclaimed, and quickly started closing all the open folders on her computer's desktop. "Take your time. I brought this for you. It's a winter design. Your team's models went into production this afternoon, so I brought you and everyone involved a pair each. Just don't wear them until the collection comes out." Ian placed the shoebox on the girl's desk. Ian watched the girl's behavior carefully from around the corner. Afterwards, he dialed Wystan and asked him to come into his office for a while. They needed to discuss work matters. Wystan was glad to hear from Ian that Heather was still in the office. He hadn't seen the girl for a week, so he wanted to talk to her as soon as possible. When Wystan looked into the office where Heather worked, he saw the girl trying on shoes from the latest collection. "Heather, you don't seem to care about me at all. You said you'd be thinking about our conversation all day, but you're trying on new shoes." Wystan grumbled unhappily. "General Manager, have you arrived already? I thought you would be on a business trip for another 2 days." Heather exclaimed in surprise. "I heard from John that your design was chosen for the winter collection. Congratulations," Viston said, but suddenly noticed that the girl was upset about something. "Last time I didn't think and called you a child. I'm sorry about that. It's just that I didn't know anything about you. I was being rude. To be honest, I didn't mean to hurt you." Lowering her eyes to the floor, Heather said, "And why do you blame yourself? Personally, I didn't consider it rude, so I don't take offense. However, there's something that really bothers me. Is there anything else you want to tell me?" asked Wystan. "And let us continue our conversation tomorrow. I promise to answer all of your questions," said Heather and smiled sweetly. "Why are you taking so long to answer? Is there really something incredible waiting for me? And when did you decide to talk to me tomorrow? After all, you're unlikely to say anything in a crowded office. Am I not telling the truth?" Wystan inquired of the girl. "Enough with the questions for today," Heather exclaimed and grabbed her bag and sprinted out of the office. "What a sweetheart she is after all," mumbled Wystan. Walking into the office the next day, Heather noticed that the atmosphere in the team was rather oppressive. "Did something happen?" Heather asked Violetta. "Not just something, but something catastrophic. I don't know how it happened, but the shoes from our winter collection appeared in the Nino Moner catalog." Violetta exclaimed with sadness in her voice. "Where's the head of your design team?" An enraged Wystan walked into the office. In his hands, he held a Nino Moner catalog. "Our CEO is not here at the moment. He's out. The CEO, we really don't know how it happened. There's a suspicion of a man who recently joined us. He could be the one who leaked our designs to a rival company," said Violetta. "The CEO, Nino Moner, has already registered the design. Details still need to be finalized, but I think they've appropriated our winter collection." A panting Ian burst into the office. What's there to clarify? It's all clear. Our shoes are in their catalog for all to see, and we've already started production. There's a good chance that everything will go to the landfill. Why did our defenses fail? Shouted an enraged Wistan. Heather's breath caught. She couldn't believe that history was repeating itself. General Manager, young supervisors told us to keep quiet, so we didn't bring it up. But let's check out all the options. We need to find out everything about the designer who came to us recently, Bradley exclaimed. This whole thing looks extremely suspicious. Did you notice that it wasn't the whole collection that was stolen, but only some of the models? There's definitely someone on our team who used to work at Nino Moner. We should track him down, Amelia suggested. Enough. I'm the person who used to work at Nino Moner. I was the one who was fired for leaking information. But I'm not at fault, and I have nothing to hide. Yes, I worked in the design department of Nino Moner 3 years ago. Heather admitted loudly. I was fired on false accusations. I had nothing to do with the information leak, nor do I have any idea who did it. I don't even know when it happened, why it happened, or how it happened. Now don't be ridiculous. Are you saying that the case was hushed up and the information didn't officially come out anywhere? If you're so sure of yourself, why didn't you stay there and justify yourself? Amelia exclaimed irritably. Heather has the feeling that everything she has lived through before is happening again. She wanted to be blamed for all her sins again. The girl felt the ground begin to fall away from under her feet, and she felt dizzy. Calm down, everyone, now. I understand the confusion in your heads, but maybe we should listen to Heather. Our company will eventually investigate anyway, so it's to her advantage to tell the truth, said Violetta. Tell everyone what happened then. Why didn't you fight for yourself? Why didn't you prove your innocence to everyone? Heather didn't want to deceive her team, but she couldn't talk about her past with Patrick, especially about the fact that it had all happened because of her own failure. It was unlikely anyone would understand her feelings and motives. I don't want to deceive anyone here, so I will say one thing. At that point, I simply didn't have the strength to fight, and there was absolutely nothing I could do on my own, Heather muttered. What nonsense! How can one wait for one's fate in silence? Amelia wondered. Okay, everybody calm down. And Violetta was right to point out, this whole thing will be handled by the inspectorate, so there's no need to unfoundedly accuse a colleague. With a loud clap of his hands, the general manager said, If you turn out to be wrong, it's unlikely Heather will want to work with you any further. I hope you understand me. Treat each other with respect. Heather McCagan, I hope you realize that I can't help but suspect you, so until this investigation is over, you'd better not come to work. I encourage you to cooperate with the inspection if they wish to contact you. By the way, you are also not welcome to enter the designer's office. I hear you. I'm going to pack my things now and go home, Heather replied to him. Under the judgmental stares of the staff, Heather left the office. Suspend for the time being the release of the shoes that were caught in the Nino Moner catalog. The second and third groups can work as normal. Fill the rest with our best sellers from last year. We don't have much time, so hurry up. Vistan ordered. If the inspection is to be believed, Nino Moner registered the design 2 days before we did. We'll have to get rid of all the products if the culprit isn't found, Ian reported back. By the way, should you really have gone so far as to tell Heather not to come to the office? You said yourself that she worked hard for her position. I had to do that. You heard everyone discussing her yourself. How will she feel about working in that kind of atmosphere? Everyone will be squinting at her because of what happened. Vistan replied to his buddy. You're right. I didn't think of that for some reason. Although, how can you think about it when the director himself is so zealously defending his designer? With a certain sarcasm in his voice, Ian said, he had long ago noticed that the general manager liked the new designer. Everything happened too strangely today. The timing, the way the rumors infiltrated the office, the incident itself. It's obvious that it was all aimed specifically at Heather. We have a spy in the office. What happened only confirms that, Wyston said thoughtfully. Heather recently confessed to me that she didn't know how Patrick found her address. He told her he asked someone in the company. That someone is our spy. Wyston pulled up to Heather's house and dialed her phone number. The lights were on in the girl's room, but she didn't answer the phone. Wyston dialed Heather's phone number over and over again until the girl eventually picked up. "Did you take much offense to what I said to you at the office?" asked Wyston to the girl. The man noticed that her voice was all droopy. She had probably been crying a lot. No, for the words were justified. As I walked home and pondered, I came to the only conclusion that the fault was mine. I must have shaken his wife's confidence back then. Maybe it's a warning from her to keep me out of that sphere? And you know what I've decided. I'm not going to pay attention anymore. I'm going to start dating you guys after all. Heather walked over to her window and looked up at Wyston. The man looked up at her in surprise. "Well, you didn't want this. You chose work over a relationship," Wyston said in surprise. "Heather, I want to assure you that this time we will prove that it wasn't your fault. The guilty will be punished. So whatever happens next, don't be discouraged and don't blame yourself." Heather did not remember how she reached her home that day. As soon as the girl fell on her bed, she immediately sobbed bitterly. The girl never told anyone about working at Alient. She was afraid that someone could hurt her again. Heather had a long-time dream. She wanted to become a shoe designer so that the shoe models her mother had drawn would see the light of day. "I'm sorry, Mom. I don't know why. I didn't have the courage again. Looks like I won't keep my promise this time either," Heather whispered. Heather tried to find advantages of staying at home all day long. She decided to develop new shoe designs and analyze her past and present. Heather hasn't left the house for a whole week. During that time, she received 2 calls from the inspection. They asked her to hand over her phone and computer for examination. They also checked bank accounts and transactions, phone calls, and more. But there has been no progress. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. It's not my fault, so there's nothing to find from me, Heather thought wistfully to herself. The girl was extremely saddened and frustrated by the fact that while Alient shoes were gathering dust in the warehouse, Nino Moner had collected revenue that exceeded last year's income. Also, Heather was also upset because her relationship with her coworkers was messed up again. Nino Moner was an extremely friendly company, and the old employees had no problem accepting the newcomer. But when the leak happened, everyone quickly turned their backs on her. If Heather had not been framed, she would have continued to work in a large, friendly team. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. When Heather looked at the intercom screen, she saw Patrick on her doorstep. "And what's that freak doing here? Any insolence must have limits." Annoyed, the girl thought, and went to open the door. "Heather, it's been a while. I was wondering how you were doing. Will you let your old friend in?" Patrick asked. "Are you out of your mind? Why would I let you in my house? Are you going to do the same thing you did 3 years ago?" Heather asked in an angry voice. "What did I do that time? And there's no point in me doing anything now. Everything has already come to light. My actions will be pointless." "So how did you manage to get yourself into this situation again?" Patrick asked the girl in a whisper. He gently placed his hand on her shoulder. "But if you don't believe I came to you in good faith, we can talk here too. I'm interested in a lot of things." Heather dropped Patrick's arm from her shoulder. "Is this your handiwork? Did you steal the Alient designs? You set this whole thing up, am I right?" Heather asked angrily. "Well, I'm not entirely sure yet, just heard a glimpse of it in the company. But anyway, it's going to be pretty hard to prove." Patrick answered the girl vaguely and fixed his glasses on the bridge of his nose. "Listen, have you had dinner yet? Let's go out," Patrick suggested to the girl. "Why are you offering me this? If we're seen together, they'll think I'm working for you," Heather replied. "What do you care? You're already the prime suspect. Heather, look at you. It's been 3 years and you're still the same. Even babies could learn something in that time, but you haven't," Patrick said in a cheerful voice. "You should have listened to me from the beginning. Yes, you have a right to be outraged now, but who else would accept you with a reputation like that? It would have happened anyway. Get over it. Patrick squeezed the girl's shoulder tightly. I would advise you to sit still and stay still. And if you let me, I'll take you under my wing and protection. Patrick looked intently into Heather's eyes. You know it's not easy for an ex-boyfriend to keep an eye on a girl he still has feelings for. Then why am I doing it? It's because you're my salvation, a warm beach on the shore of a quiet sea. I guess that's the reason I always follow you. You give all of yourself, creating comfort all around you. That's why I don't want to let you go. Wait, you mean you're going to put me in a secluded spot and I'll be your backup? Heather clarified. And what surprises you so much? I have power and money now. Having another woman around is a common occurrence. And to be blunt, I'm not sure you're going to make it with Wystan Kudrow. Stop. End this drama theater. You don't really want to keep me. Any affection is out of the question. Why don't you admit what you're really after? Heather asked, barely containing her irritation. Look, and you figured it out pretty quickly, to be honest. I didn't even expect that. Patrick answered the girl. Go away. I have absolutely nothing to talk to you about. Next time, appreciate people on their own merits before you show up at their door. Heather exclaimed. Evaluate you? Don't be ridiculous. With a deft movement, Patrick snatched the phone from the pocket of Heather's robe. What are you doing? Have you decided to steal my phone? Heather shouted fearfully. Patrick made some manipulations with the girl's cell phone and handed it to her. I remember before I became financially secure, you were the one who didn't support me in any way. You were the one who got promoted the fastest at Nino Moner. You were the one who became the butt of every barrel, always bragging about your status and salary. You never tried to understand how hard it was for me back then, and I can see you still don't. Every time you talked about the wedding, I was exhausted. I decided to get rid of the burden somehow because I didn't want to put it all on you. But no, you just wanted to enjoy every day. Patrick gripped the girl's shoulders tightly. You were amused that your boyfriend was in a worse position than you. Not only that, you're doing the same thing now. I came home with money and status, but you're rejecting what I'm trying to give you. Why do you want to embarrass me again? Do you want to look down on me from the windows of Alient Company? Patrick growled angrily and clenched his hands into fists. Has he always been like this? How come I never noticed it? A startled Heather's mind raced. Heather, do the right thing. I'm still willing to give you a chance. Calming down and taking a breath, Patrick said. Heather grabbed a broom standing by the exit and rapped Patrick with it. You insolent, cocksucking, self-righteous asshole. You got a place for me, huh? You just want to show your superiority over me. Why don't you have the courage to admit that I'm out of your life forever? Heather shouted angrily. You're not giving me a chance. You're taking me as a slave. Heather gave her ex-boyfriend another swipe with the broom. Then you left evidence against me on the computer, but now there's no proof of my guilt. You think I'm going to fall for your trick? Heather gave Patrick another swipe with the broom. Unable to stay on his feet, the man fell on his heel. He asked the girl to stop. You may be right, there really isn't any proof. But does that change anything? There's no alibi either. Even if the rumors in Alien subside now, the residue of what happened will remain. What will your colleagues say about you? What kind of reputation will you have? You're already on the edge of a precipice, and your colleagues are happy to push you over. It's harder to prove innocence than it is to get rid of someone. I feel sorry for Wystan Kudrow because you're the reason he took a huge loss. By the way, I'm not going to stop there. Maybe you've managed to avoid trouble in past times, but there are a lot of near-bankrupt companies out there at the moment who are willing to do anything for relatively small sums. And when I pay them, you'll definitely be finished. All right, I'll go. If anything, you know where to find me, said Patrick and walked to his car. The girl pulled a small tape recorder from the breast pocket of her robe. From around the corner, Wystan watched the trade at the Nino Moner shoe store. The models his team was working on were selling really well. The investigation has not yet yielded any results. So far, it has not been clear who leaked the information. Weiston was also mortified by the fact that Heather had never called him once during the investigation. When he thought of the girl, Weiston was eager to see her. "Aren't you supposed to be at work today?" Heather said in a disgruntled voice. "Why are you grumbling? Aren't you happy to see me?" Vistan asked the girl as he walked up the steps to her apartment. "And actually, you should commend me. I haven't bothered you with my calls all week. I want to tell you that I could have been more patient. You really did very well with that," Heather said with a cheerful giggle. Heather decided to feed Whiston a hot dinner. "I want to warn you that if someone suspicious appears in your surroundings, you'd better not meet them or talk to them. Especially shun those who work at Nino Moner," said Whiston when dinner was finished. "And why are you averting your eyes to the side? Has something already happened?" It didn't go unnoticed to Whiston that Heather quickly looked away. "Oh, for crying out loud! How long has he been coming?" asked Weiston when Heather finished her story. "A couple days ago, but I didn't let him into my house. I also recorded our conversation with him. I don't know if that will help." Heather turned on the recorded conversation with Patrick. "This tape will be hard to use as evidence, but drop it to me. It might come in handy," Vistan asked. "And what do you do at home all day long? Aren't you bored?" Whiston asked the girl. "I do all the things I would do at work. I have come up with several new models of shoes. I want to confess that I have had a love for shoes since early childhood. My mom was a shoe designer. It was from her that I borrowed a lot of things. Growing up, I always had a lot of different shoes, and they were all made by my mom. One day, she promised to make one pair for me, but it was never meant to be. She died with my father in a car accident. The day they were buried, I promised my mother that someday I would definitely make the shoes she had sketched. I still have a folder of shoe designs that never made it to publication. So becoming a good designer and showing my mother's talent to the world was a dream come true for me." Whiston asked the girl if she could show the sketches to her mother. "These designs are quite beautiful. Even though a lot of time has passed, the models are not outdated. They will still be relevant now. Your talent is an extension of your mother's. If she were here, she would be overwhelmed with pride at your success." "Thank you. Your words have reassured me. Perhaps that was exactly what I needed to hear the most," said Heather. Tears were streaming down the girl's cheeks. "Still hasn't contacted me. Is she still hanging in there? Or is she just being mean and not wanting to call me first? Heather's the kind of woman who stands her ground. That's the beauty of her. I've always liked a girl with a temper," Patrick thought, watching the city at night from his window. "Are you still at work? Why didn't you call me?" Gina appeared on the doorstep of the office. "Oh, honey, what's wrong? It's late. Why aren't you home?" Patrick asked his spouse. "First of all, I came here to see how our case was going. And secondly, I really wanted to see you. Now we can leave work together with you. By the way, how's Alient doing after the catalog check?" Gina walked over to her spouse and hugged him tightly. "The CEO has ordered Heather not to come to work until the truth is revealed," Patrick told his spouse. No matter how much he liked her, he had to do that. "All in all, I'm glad things are going according to plan. Make sure that man keeps his mouth shut. You'll tell me if you need money," said Gina to her spouse. "By the way, I was told recently that you were seen outside her house again. Did you go to see her again?" "Your words upset me. What do you suspect me of? Would I do such a thing if I still had feelings for Heather?" Patrick asked resentfully. "I'm sorry. You know how I feel about that girl, right? She always knew how much I loved you, but she still wouldn't back down. I want to destroy her so she never comes back again," Gina said in a soothing tone. "You're the one who's sorry for making you worry. I really don't have any feelings for her. I only have you." Heather is still tired of sitting at home all day alone, so the girl decided to go shopping. "I'm so angry with them. They didn't even think to change anything about the model. They're so unscrupulous," Heather muttered indignantly. "Welcome to our store. How can I help you?" A salesgirl approached Heather. "You did the right thing to pay attention to this particular model. These boots are now being bought more often than any other shoe. They're selling out so fast that there's only one pair left. I shouldn't have left the house after all. Only ruined my mood. Heather sighed heavily. Patrick was right. Even if she was acquitted, it was unlikely that the staff would continue to trust her. Suddenly, the girl had an epiphany. She ran to the cash register and asked the clerk to sell her the last pair of shoes. "Heather, what are you doing here? You're not welcome here, do you remember that?" asked the girl as Ian approached. "I know I can't be here, but I need to check on something right away. You have to help me," the girl exclaimed hotly. "Hush, let's go with you to the principal's office and talk quietly there," suggested Ian. He was afraid that the girl would be noticed in a competitor's store, and the rumors would spread around the company with renewed vigor. "I apologize for interrupting you, but this is really very important. Supervisor Young, you remember the instructions I gave you, right? Did you happen to show that file to the other designers?" Heather asked. "I remember that file. There was nothing to fix, so I sent it to the development department for joy," replied Ian to the girl. "This tells me that my design wasn't leaked in the design team. It probably happened in the design team," Heather exclaimed. "Here, look!" The girl pulled a newly purchased pair of boots out of her bag. "You know the difference between the design I drew originally and the final result, right? You do remember that we put our logo on the back, right? My report to the design team didn't have this detail, but at the last minute, we consulted with only 3 executives and decided to add it. It turns out that the design of this shoe was stolen at the time the final result was checked. If the information was leaked by one of the designers, this shoe would have come out in an unfinished form with no logo. Wiston ordered John to contact the investigation department and verify the involvement of all members of the development team in the leak. Immediately, checks began on all development team members. "Heather, did it really happen on that team? But how did you realize it? What's going to happen to them now? Supervisor Yang said it's almost accurate." An excited Violet ran up to Heather and grabbed her by the shoulders. "It's because of my report. I added the logo embellishments to the back at the last minute." Modestly lowering her eyes to the floor, Heather told me. Suddenly the girl remembered that after the design had been approved, it had been handed over to Amelia. She saw that a logo had been added to the shoes. "So you did it. You knew about the contents of the report and the logo on the back. Other than you and the 3 supervisors, no one else knew about it." Heather guessed and stared intently into Amelia's eyes. "I couldn't think of you because you and I worked on the same team." "What are you talking about? Anyone could have seen that report. Why are you making me feel guilty? Is this your way of clearing your name?" Amelia started to get indignant. "And I didn't even realize it was our team that came up with the logo on the back. When I first saw these shoes, I thought the logo was added to the Nino Moner," Bradley exclaimed in surprise. "I didn't pass anything or anyone on. Why did you decide to turn on me?" Amelia exclaimed. CEO Wistan Kudrow and Ian Dogwin, manager of the first design department, entered the office. "Did you really know the contents of the final report?" Wistan asked Amelia. The girl hesitated, lowering her eyes to the floor. "And who in this group is his immediate superior?" Wistan asked in a loud voice. "That's me. We've been working with Heather to approve the final results," said the skinny kid, rising from his desk chair. "And why did you then show Amelia the final result? What made you think she had a right to know about it?" Ian exclaimed. "Amelia told me it was your decree. She even asked me to make a copy. Like, you forgot to bring the original with you. I had no idea that this would eventually happen," the kid said fearfully. "It seems that just now we have gotten answers to all the questions we are interested in. I suggest we stop here. I'll ask the director of development and the designer from the design department to tell our inspectors everything honestly," Wistan said in a tone that did not tolerate objections. Weiston noticed that Amelia did not look worried about the situation. The girl was completely calm. "Heather, I'm sorry, but that's the end of your unexpected vacation. You will be returning to the office starting tomorrow. You will be required to join in on the creation of the winter collection. Also, turn in your fashion show plan for the second half of the year," ordered Wiston. "I'll deal with the rest of you myself, so you can exhale now." Although the perpetrators were captured, it was extremely difficult to prove their involvement in the leak. Amelia was silent, and there was no evidence that she had passed on information or received payment from anyone. An inquiry was also sent to Nino Moner Inspection, but they said their similar booty design was purely coincidental. Narrated Bradley. "Yeah, random. That's how we believe them. They have a very deliberate strategy. See nothing, know nothing," Violetta muttered. "I wonder if they even checked Amelia's bank accounts, but there are no deposits there. She didn't do this for free, did she?" Heather shared her thoughts. "But I'm much more concerned about the look on her face, that unfortunate day. Her gaze was filled with anger and hostility. I wonder why?" The girl thought to herself. "Heather, I sincerely apologize for suspecting you." Bradley lowered his head low. "You don't need to apologize to me. Everyone would have thought so in that situation. Besides, that design was made by you and me. You couldn't help but suspect me." Heather replied. "Sure, a lot has happened, but we're still a team." Violetta exclaimed happily and hugged her subordinates. "Let's join forces again to reach the heights. We will definitely create great winter novelties." Heather was glad that this time everything ended well for her. She had stayed with the team. Her co-workers had not turned their backs on her. A few days later, Violetta told me that Amelia was still silent. The Director General was tired of calling her into his office. "Have some tea. You must be exhausted after that interrogation," said Wiston to the girl sitting in front of him. "Why did you summon me again?" Amelia asked. "I'd like to hear a lot of things about what happened, but you apparently have nothing to say to me. I see you're a very stubborn girl," Waston said with a smile. "I don't know how many more times I need to say this, but I didn't do anything illegal. Yes, I took a copy of the report, but I lost it somewhere along the way. I didn't give it to anyone," Amelia said in a monotone voice. "Listen to me. If this keeps up, I'll have no choice but to make you a scapegoat. I, on the other hand, need to show the public that we are fighting the information leak," said Wiston to the girl. "In addition, I need to show others that no one can harm me and go unpunished. I want to make sure that if someone else receives the same offer, they will see your example and refuse out of fear. But if you don't want to answer me to that question, then answer another. Why do you hate Heather so much? Why did you shamelessly set her up?" Since we're talking about Heather, I have a grudge against her. After all, she got a job here thanks to the show and immediately put her design in the fashion show. It was her first design that was chosen as the novelty of the winter season. It seemed pretty unfair to me. And then I found out afterward that Heather is being promoted not because of her abilities, but because you're friends with her. I used to think that people came to Alien because of talent, that by working hard and developing your skills you could get good results. But watching Heather, I realized that's far from true. "What are you implying now?" Waston asked the girl. "I know there's more than just a working relationship between you two, and I think you're advancing her career," Amelia exclaimed. "I think I need to clarify that point. Heather did get a job with us as a contestant, but while preparing for the fashion show together, I knew nothing about her except her name." Massaging the bridge of his nose tiredly, Weiston said, he hadn't expected his company to have such rumors. "And just so you know, it wasn't me who recommended her design for the show. It was the head of the department, Ian Dogwan, who did. I, on the contrary, stopped him, as I was concerned that Heather was new. And lastly, I had no part in choosing the winter novelties. But anyway, you can influence people and make them do as you wish." Amelia objected to him. "But you've seen Heather's work yourself, haven't you? Did you know that the booties that ended up in the hands of our competitors broke all sales records? And it was Heather who designed this model." Wiston replied to the girl, "I know your younger brother is at university, and your parents have a small store in the village." Weiston walked over to Amelia and leaned over her. "In terms of compensation, even if you collect your family's entire inheritance, it won't be enough for compensation." Are you threatening me? Amelia asked in a surprised voice. She hadn't expected such behavior from the CEO. No, you didn't. If I had actually threatened you, you wouldn't be sitting in this seat right now. I just want you to take responsibility for leaking the information. In a calm voice, Whiston replied to the girl. If you look into it, it was the Nino Moners who started this case. So it's only right that material compensation be their responsibility. This conversation is over. You may go. Come back any time if you change your mind. But don't forget that everything has a deadline. Returning home, Amelia ran into Heather in the hallway. It's so good that I met you here. I've wanted to talk to you for a long time. Patrick Harris made you do it, didn't he? I know you'll deny it until the last minute, but he did, said Heather to the girl. I have a proposition for you. I want to show you something. If you don't want to help me, you can refuse, but at least pretend to listen to me. Heather sat down on a bench at the back of the park, near a small stall selling soft drinks. Congratulations, you finally found the real culprit, Patrick exclaimed as he approached. What do you mean? We haven't found him yet. Since Amelia is innocent or pretends to be, we can't say that. Heather answered him. Right. How could I forget? She lost her copy, didn't she? It must be very hard for you right now. Your company is making a big loss, and a mole has taken up residence among you. He needs to be tracked down, Patrick said with a laugh. I came here to ask you just one question. Look, I'm not recording anything on my phone right now, so you can rest easy about that. Answer me one question, please. Were you in a romantic relationship with Amelia? Very funny. Who told you about this? Did Amelia herself tell you? Or is it your own personal assumption? Laughing again, Patrick said, Do you think she would say such a thing to me? You know she's very angry with me. And come to think of it, yes, that's my personal assumption. So what do you intend to do with her now? Heather asked. What am I going to do with him? I'm not going to do anything. She did all this just for herself. I didn't force her to do anything. That girl used to be my father's driver. Patrick took a seat next to Heather. You realize I couldn't have any special relationship with this girl. She and I have completely different social levels. You could say she's a nobody to me. There's no way you can tie her to me. Patrick didn't realize that their entire conversation was being heard by Amelia. That idiot originally did all this out of love for me. You think I gave her money? Not a dime. Now you won't even find an account where the money might have come from. You do realize there's no proof, don't you? Patrick was extremely pleased with himself. I advise you to give up the dream, to catch me. I believe Amelia will never, ever say anything. Heather realized that Patrick hadn't changed a bit. 3 years ago, he'd used her and dumped her, and now he was doing the same to Amelia. Remember that night I told you I wanted to see you crawl on the ground. You know I won't stop there. I will continue to stop you from living your life in peace until you come crawling back to me on your knees. Patrick roughly took Heather by the chin. Remember, your only way out of the situation is to quit Alient and break off any relationship with Wyston Kudrow. You shouldn't think you're Cinderella next to Prince Charming. Annoyed, Heather pushed Patrick away from her. How can you consider yourself a human being after this? Do you have the conscience to call yourself one? Heather shouted in an angry voice. Suddenly, Patrick answered the girl with a ringing slap. Unable to stay on her feet, Heather fell to her knees. You lowly wench! How dare you insult your benefactor? Patrick said in an irritated voice and walked away to his car. I hope you heard everything. Even if you take all the blame, he still won't be yours, said Heather, walking up to Amelia. You mean you accidentally fell off the bed and right on your cheek? Wyston asked, surprised. You see, I've been having some pretty disturbing dreams lately, Heather explained to him. Let me see. I feel like someone slapped you on the cheek. Are you by any chance fooling me? Wyston asked the girl incredulously. That's enough. We've seen enough, Heather exclaimed and pushed Wyston away from her. Heather noticed that lately she felt comfortable around Wyston. They spent a lot of time together, talking and joking. She began to like it when he came to visit her. The next day, Amelia came to Wyston's office, much to his surprise. The girl put two cell phones on the table. One phone was intended for the security service, and the other was registered in the name of Patrick Harris. Both of these phones would make good evidence. I've contacted him on the phone that's in his name when I need to discuss the leaked designs. I also sent reports from it. There are call and message records in the phone's memory. Amelia said in a sad, monotone voice. By the way, I want to give you this envelope. It contains photos from the last time we met. You can show these pictures to his wife. Opening the envelope, Wyston saw some racy photos. And lastly, I want to confess that Heather got hurt because of me. She wanted to prove my stupidity to me. Without raising her eyes to the CEO, said Amelia. A furious Wyston stormed out of his office. He asked his secretary if Patrick Harris, the head of Nino Moner's main office, was there. Heather, this is what happened here. I admitted to the CEO that Patrick hit you, and he got really angry. He stormed out of his office. He had this look on his face like he was going in for the kill, Amelia said in a loud whisper into the phone. You're not even trash. How can you raise your hand on girls? I've put up with it for a long time, but my patience has run out. How much longer are you going to hang around Heather? Shouted Wyston angrily. Heather ran at Wyston's voice. When she came around the corner, she saw Wyston swinging his fist to strike. Stop it, both of you, Heather shouted. Heather, hi, how are you doing? See, I'm a little busy right now, so let's chat with you a little later. With a smile on his face, Wyston said. Heather decided to intervene in the fight. She didn't want the CEO to get in trouble for beating up Patrick. Patrick hurried to put on his glasses and give himself a more businesslike appearance. He was embarrassed that Heather had seen him in such a bad light. Wyston, you think I don't know how to fight, so I'm getting beaten up by you? Take a breath and look up. There are cameras everywhere. Tomorrow, your face will grace the headlines of every media outlet. Patrick exclaimed enthusiastically. Huh, do you really think I care much? I'm more worried about your father-in-law. His health has been shaky enough lately, and all you're doing is adding oil to the fire, Wyston said with a laugh. I want to tell you that I have some racy pictures of you on my hands. I wonder how your father-in-law will react to them. And would your wife like these? Wyston pulled some pictures out of his breast pocket and tossed them in the air. Where did you get these pictures? Scared, Patrick shouted, looking at the pictures. You're such an asshole. Cheating on your wife behind her back. By the way, I have proof that you bought one of your girlfriends a car and another an apartment. Isn't that mean to your spouse? Wyston said reproachfully. I don't recommend media coverage of today's incident. Otherwise, your wife and father-in-law will find out about your adventures. I don't think they'll be comfortable with that. By the way, and that's not all. I recently spoke to people who admitted to being offered large sums of money in exchange for one favor. They needed to fake a leak of designs and transfer a large sum of money into the account of employee Heather McAgon. I'm sure you understand what I'm telling you right now. I know that you're the one behind the leak not only in my company, but in yours as well. In fact, I can easily prove it in any court of law. Tomorrow I will personally meet with the chairman of Nino Moner and take compensation for my company's damages. I'm sure your father-in-law won't refuse me. If they went to punch your face, they'd punch your face. Why get yourself beaten by someone you can't even call a person? And why, because of me, are you doing this? It's not fair, Heather said in a sad voice. I almost ruined your company because of me. Bitter tears ran down the girl's cheeks. Heather, stop it! It's over now! We've sorted it out! Everything will be fine now! Wyston said in a soft voice. Suddenly, Heather snuggled up to Wyston and kissed him on the lips. She was grateful to him, for he had always been kind to her, no matter what happened. I like you, and I like you a lot. I'd like to say I liked you before this happened. I guess your sincerity bought me over, Heather confessed. And here's your tea. Heather placed a cup of tea and a plate of cookies in front of Wyston. She was glad that he had decided to visit her after all, since they hadn't seen each other for a few days. All this time, Wyston had been dealing with the compensation issues. Heather, I was wondering, are you really comfortable with me? Wyston asked unexpectedly. The girl looked at him in surprise. It's certainly a nice change, but is it only comfort that makes you want to be with me? Whiston touched the girl's face gently. I have to go now. You don't want to stop me. Principal. A girl flew in fearfully. Grinning cheerfully, Wyston kissed Heather on the cheek. You fell for my trick again. I was joking again, wasn't I? Have you noticed I'm getting better at humor every day? I'm about to become a professional humorist. Wyston threw his hands up in the air, disarmed. So you're okay with me being scared every time. Talking to you further will make me a stutterer. Heather exclaimed indignantly. Anyway, I have to go. Thank you for meeting me, said Wyston and got up from the couch. Wait, don't go. Stay at my place tonight, Heather asked, grabbing Wyston's hand. You really don't want me to leave? Well, you talked me into it. I'll stay. But will I want to leave you afterwards? What if I want to be alone with you as long as possible? Wyston asked, staring intently into the girl's eyes. To stop Wyston's endless chatter, Heather kissed him passionately on the lips. The next day, Wyston decided to please Heather again with a present. He took a small blue box out of the trunk. For a ring, this box is big, but for shoes, it's too small, Heather thought as she looked at the box. I didn't remember the details of the sketch exactly, so there may be minor differences. Since I really wanted to give them to you as a gift, I decided to take a chance, said Wyston to the girl. When Heather opened the box, she saw a glass ball, inside of which were shoes designed by her mother. The excitement took her breath away. It would be better if you were the one who created them. So this is just a sample, Wyston said, embarrassed. Thank you so much, Heather shouted happily and hugged Wyston. I thank you for making them. I wouldn't have dared to do it myself. I always felt like I didn't have the right to make them. Looking back at all the stares and whispers of envious people, I didn't want to plunge my mom into that negativity. But now I'm sure they will definitely come out with the addition of my ideas. After all, these shoes are the most beautiful dream my mom passed down to me. Tears streamed down Heather's cheeks. She had made it. She had made it to the end, and now her dream would be fulfilled.